Why Workhorse will win the USPS contract. What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor, and today we're speaking about Workhorse again. We've spoken about these guys a couple of times on the channel as of late, and you guys have absolutely smashed the support on both of those videos. And I'm getting loads of questions, both from YouTube and from Instagram, of people asking me, did Workhorse win the contract? And the answer is, nobody knows yet. But what I want to do in today's video is show you some reasons why I believe that they will win the contract. Because I've seen arguments both for and against Workhorse getting the contract. Some people think that they're too small or don't have the history. But when you start connecting the dots, when you start bringing the little pieces of news together, it looks like Workhorse are going to be the main leaders. And even a part of this $6 billion+ USPS contract would mean so much to a company like Workhorse. In today's video, we're going to have a look at things like the new head of the US Postal Service and how he was one of Trump's biggest donors, Californian laws revolving around zero emission vehicles in the future, and why that bodes so well for Workhorse in comparison to some of their competition in regards to this contract, a speech Trump did very recently where I believe there is a Workhorse vehicle in the back, and a little bit more about how Workhorse can help the USPS become more profitable very quickly, which is the main thing that Trump wants to happen. Everything with this company is so interconnected, it's insane. You could spend hours looking into all of the articles around these guys. Anyway guys, right before we get into it, can I please ask you to smash a like on this video? If we get 100 likes within 2 hours, I'm going to be double uploading today, so please smash that like button. Let's get it. If you're new around here, hit that juicy red subscribe button. We just hit 13,000 subs this morning. I appreciate you all so much. And lastly, drop me a comment down below. Just let me know what you think about Workhorse, if you're involved in them, if you've bought any, or if you know you're staying away for whatever reason. And with that being said, let's get straight into the video, people. So I'm going to assume you know the basics about Workhorse if you're watching this video. We will reference back to both their main website and the investors presentation at certain points throughout the video, but I'm not going to go through the absolute basics. I have other videos going through all of those things, so we won't waste time on it. The very first thing I want to speak about today is this, okay? New Postal Service head is a top Trump donor. What does that mean for its future? The new head of the US Postal Service took office Monday. Now this was back June 16th, so this was about a month ago. But his close ties to President Donald Trump, who has long pushed for changes in how the post office operates, have raised questions about his leadership. So you may be aware that earlier on this year, President Donald Trump called the Postal Service a joke, and he actually threatened to let them go bankrupt if they didn't start raising fees on packages. He specifically said they were giving people like Amazon huge discounts for next to no reason. So Trump wants the way USPS is run to change quite clearly. So this is odd, okay, because he is the first Postmaster General in decades without direct Postal Service experience. Now the thing is, the USPS Board of Governors appoints the Postmaster General, which is supposed to insulate the position a bit from politics. However, the board's members are appointed by the president and approved by the Senate. So literally all of the current board members were appointed by Trump, which means that, you know, he very well could have some sort of influence who gets chosen to be head. Now the board did say that they considered more than 200 candidates and interviewed more than a dozen, but of course they're going to do that. They're not going to make anything obvious if it was something to do with Trump. Now the thing is, he has worked with USPS in a way. He spent more than 35 years growing and managing New Breed Logistics, and while serving as CEO and chairman of the company, he provided logistics for the USPS. So he's worked alongside them, just not directly for them. And I can see why he makes sense. I think it's a big moment for the Postal Service, with it struggling to adapt to the 21st century and digital age. There are a lot of us who are hopeful that someone with outside logistical experience will help it navigate this new world. Times are changing and USPS isn't. So whether or not it has been influenced by Trump, more than likely this is going to be a good thing for USPS. But dude, just keep in the back of your head this whole time that Trump probably did have some play in this. Now we have to speak about California and the fact that they're creating America's largest market for electric trucks. So California's Air Quality Agency voted on June 25th to pass the most sweeping regulations of electric commercial trucks in history. So the Advanced Clean Trucks rule requires truck manufacturers to sell an increasing share of electric trucks each year, with the goal of making all new trucks sold in California zero emission. This is important, by 2045. So why is zero emission so important to Workhorse getting this contract? Workhorse is the only of the 4 companies that are competing for the USPS Next Generation Delivery Vehicles contract to have zero emission vehicles. So the first company is Carson, a commercial electric vehicle company based in Turkey, which straight away is not even in the US. Why would they want to give it to a company outside the US if at all possible, which teamed up with Morgan Olson from Michigan. These are hybrid mail trucks. Hybrid does not equate to zero emissions. Oshkosh and Ford. Hybrid. Now, Mahindra. Again, not in the US. They're an Indian multinational vehicle manufacturing corporation. headquarters in Mumbai. And again, you guessed it, they're not zero emissions. So if you want to start building a long-term relationship with a company now, with the understanding that all new trucks sold in California will be zero emission by 2045, Workhorse makes sense. And not only that, they're also an American-owned company. Now, Workhorse may not have as much history as some of these other companies, but I think that they will be more than capable of taking on a very large portion of this contract, if not all of the contract. So some more very important information. This rule specifies that all manufacturers must sell electric and hydrogen-powered vehicles by 2024. By 2035, zero-emission trucks should account for 55% of medium-duty sales, including pickups, and 75% of heavy-duty vehicles. Virtually all of California's freight sector will have a zero-emission mandate by 2021, says law firm Earth Justice, so it makes sense to go with the runner who has zero-emission vehicles. And already, the Workhorse C-Series trucks have gotten the nod from CARB. CARB is who we're speaking about here, the California Air Resources Board. With this certification, the C-Series trucks are designed as zero-emission vehicles in the state of California. Workhorse also becomes the first and only medium-duty battery electric vehicle original equipment manufacturer, OEM, to receive approvals from both the Environmental Protection Agency and CARB. That's massive. And why it's so important in California in particular. In 2019, EVs and hybrids accounted for about 8% of California's car sales, roughly half the US total. So I mean, that is clearly a massive market share if you can get that contract. So there's two absolutely massive reasons that I think Workhorse should be heavily considered for this contract, okay? They're 100% entirely, completely and utterly American owned, and they're 100% zero emissions, and the competition isn't. Now here is something quite interesting, and it was actually a fan on Instagram who sent me these images. Trump weakens environmental law to speed up infrastructure projects. And in the background we see Trump and we see a UPS van behind him. This looks like the Workhorse C1000 vehicle. Here's the C1000. Here is the UPS truck. Now obviously it looks different because it's UPS branded, but it does look just like their truck. And you're all probably aware at this stage of this tweet from over a year ago. Great news for Ohio. Just spoke to Mary Barra, CEO of General Motors, who informed me that, subject to a UAW agreement, which obviously since has gone through, GM will be selling their beautiful Lordstown plant to Workhorse, where they plan to build electric trucks. GM will also be spending $700 million in Ohio. Trump needs Ohio for voting purposes to get re-elected. Workhorse owns 10% in Lordstown Motors, who now is in this plant in Ohio, who could create a whole lot of jobs. Remember earlier on when I spoke about Trump having influence over the head of USPS? Just another reason why he would want them to win the contract. And I know this is only a small thing, but looking at the background of this picture, I mean, it pretty much is guaranteed to be a Workhorse vehicle. Is he just trying to drop hints that we should be picking up more shares? I don't know, it's kind of working on me. I already bought more this week. I'm honestly considering buying more again. But obviously I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you to go and buy this company. It's still very speculative and high risk in nature. And we don't even know when who won the contract will be announced. Now, one more thing about Trump and USPS and Workhorse and how it all comes together. So earlier on in the video we mentioned the fact that Trump has previously called the USPS a joke. Because, you know, they're not making an awful lot of money. They were potentially going to need financial aid from the government in these tough times, and Trump just overall thinks it's a bit of a joke. So obviously it's going to be in USPS best interest to figure out, you know, how can they cut costs and increase their margins. Well, this little fella here could help the Horsefly UAV delivery system. Their next generation Horsefly UAV drone reduces per package last mile cost by 95%, about 4 cents per mile versus $1 for a gas vehicle. That's massive savings on top of the electric vehicles. These are fully integrated with Workhorse medium duty vehicles, including on-vehicle charging. So, you know, these can be on top of the already existing Workhorse C1000s. They work with those vehicles in particular. So another way to cut costs is to go with Workhorse. They are FAA compliant and recently granted Horsefly patent covers any drone utilization integrated with delivery vehicles. So nobody else can do what Workhorse does in regards to these drones. If another company wanted to do this, they would have to buy the patent off of Workhorse, which is going to give Workhorse a lot more money. So right now, not only are they ahead of the competition in regards to having zero emission vehicles, they're also ahead in what could potentially be the next generation of delivery, which could be these drones, which will save USPS an awful lot of money. And these are out there right now. I mean, these are approved. These can be used. It's absolutely crazy. But do you just see how it all just looks so intertwined? I mean, it's like you have to connect all of the dots and it all leads to Workhorse being successful. Now, in the last month, they're still up 282%. They were up 400% at one stage. They've dropped 25% in value since then. I personally still see a whole lot of upside potential for Workhorse. Not only in the short term, but in the long term too. I think a lot of people are thinking about the next few months and, you know, turning a quick profit, maybe a 50, even 100% profit at these price points, just because this one contract could go through. But I think that if this contract goes through, it's a sign of an extremely bright future in the world of EV for Workhorse. So if this contract goes through, yes, in the short term, more than likely you're going to make a lot of money. But in the long term, you could make way more money. I don't know, guys, to me, they just seem to be looking more and more attractive as of right now. They are still definitely a relatively speculative play. I mean, a lot of what we've been speaking about today is speculative. We're trying to bring the pieces of a puzzle that doesn't really exist together. But personally, I love the look of this puzzle. Now, a lot of what is going to happen with Workhorse does still come down to, you know, can they get the contract, or at least a substantial portion of the contract? Because there are negatives too. I mean, you know, they don't have the same history. They don't have the same production capacity as some of their competitors, but they do have some major advantages in the fact that they are completely and utterly zero emission, and they are completely and utterly American based. It's just a company where I see immense long-term growth potential. I mean, as a long-term whole, these could play a very important role in the future of last mile delivery and EVs as a whole. And I think we all know at this stage that EV is an absolutely booming industry at the moment, and we expect it to continue going forwards. So of course, please do always do your own research, always form your own opinions. Don't just blindly invest into a company because I speak about it or because I'm investing into them, because, you know, we could have different outlooks. And part of me investing in this company is me acknowledging the fact that I could potentially lose money. I could lose a large part of my investment if things never go right. No company like this is ever 100% safe, so please just do understand that, and don't ever invest anything that you can't afford to lose, and I really do mean that. So anyway, guys, if you watched till the end of the video, I really do appreciate you so much. You're helping me out. The growth on the channel lately has been absolutely insane, and I'm so appreciative to every single one of you. You are all real, true, living legends. With that being said, guys, I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. I will see you for the next video, which will probably be in a few hours. Peace.